I'm early this time. I don't want to hear anyone complain. Hello and welcome to the office hours. How are you everyone doing? This is a live stream where we talk about Star Citizen. We do AMAs, we do analyses. I talk a little bit of lore sometimes. It's on Twitch and YouTube. Let's hop into the office real quickly with that fancy new transition. And
Good news, everyone!
Yeah, it's not working. Why aren't you working? There we go. Welcome, everybody. My name is Paul Berserker, one Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astropub. Your space bar at the end of which I'm also your host for, or your facilitator for Captain Sable and your professor and galactic historian, which is going to come back with a vengeance here in the next couple of weeks. Now that I've got everything more or less sorted on my end. So big news. This is the week after CitizenCon, which, depending on who you talk to, was either the worst CitizenCon in the history of the universe, or it was all right, or if you take Jail's term, if they had announced the tool that we're about to talk about during CitizenCon, it would have been declared the best CitizenCon ever. Recovered from the 24-hour stream? I have not. I have not recovered from the 24-hour stream at all. Hey, Red. Hey, Jeremy. Bruce. 89 Dig Dug. Did you just keep changing your name, Dig Dug? Jake Raven. Darj. E Paladin. More lore. Yes, we're going to be doing... so for those of you who are wondering, I have a video that's been recorded. I got to go through and edit it and then edit the audio and then go through and kind of actually put it together. That should be out next week. I'll try to get it done over the weekend. We'll see. And then I'm going to put together several spoopy mysteries. There's a couple of mysteries in the verse in Star Citizen lore that I want to talk about. So we'll do specifically about like a missing military carrack that was discovered with all of its crew disappeared. A mysterious carrack that came back. I think it was a carrack. Might have been something else that came back and was destroyed. Shoot on sight rather than being discovered. We'll talk a little bit about the Vara. I think we talked. I did a whole thing on a day of the Vara, but I may just do a mystery of the Vara, just kind of like a short. And I've already talked about the Blue Man, so I'm not going to talk about the Blue Man. I might put those two together there. I'll look up for some other mysteries. There's a couple of other ones out there, in terms of just stuff that happened and no one knows what to do. So, the Blue Man, yes, Toby. Oh, and the missing Mezzer. So, hey, Duzian. Yes, I have seen you. My wife's a big fan of it. E Paladin, thank you for giving that sub to Metroid. Hope you've recovered. I have not recovered. I need more sleep and more just time not working. I'll be fine though. It's a slow recovery. Where's the best place to read the lore? The best place to read the lore would probably be on the website. Though, if you're looking for ways to kind of get into the lore, StarCitizen.tools, the wiki, has got a lot of great references, or the Galactipedia, which is CIG's like lore wiki that they do themselves. They both have good kind of resources to get it through. So I'd probably say the Galactipedia. If you're looking for the most up-to-date, current canon lore, the Galactipedia has a bunch of articles out there to kind of help you start into that. Metroid armor in Star Citizen? We need a Flying Dutchman in lore. There is rumored to be a Flying Dutchman in the Hades system, which we'll talk about. I think I might do one on the Vara. The Vara is the Flying Dutchman, essentially. It's the Star Citizen's version of the Flying Dutchman. Got Jade. I also feel we need mermaid lore. Crusader because of the space whales. Oh no, that's bad. I don't want to go into that. It was within reason what we're getting with the next year. It was great, but not over-promising, which is what I hope for in the future in general. So let me get my resources out. So I've got all my resources to talk a little bit about that. Find this. All right. So let's organize this properly. All right. So I'm going to get started with this little presentation. I'm going to clip this later and put it up on YouTube as well. I'm going to try to be paced and look at the camera, and I'm practicing this. This process to try to encourage more people to come and join us for these office hours, because a lot of people don't know they exist, and I want to say, like, hey, we do content on here, because a lot of people are like, I want this, and I'm like, we've already done it on Cap. We did it on the office hours. I don't know if I want to do it again. Good morning, y'all. So if I don't look directly at chat, that's the reason why. So let's get started. Hold on. So we don't have epic music in the background playing. Hello and welcome to another experiment. This is again recorded live on our office hours, which happens every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, I'm just going to say the Eastern, 9 p.m. Eastern. Usually go for about 2 hours, twitch.tv/theastropub or youtube.com/theastropub. Go and join us. It's an AMA analysis. We talk a little bit about lore. We do a little bit of everything Star Citizen. It's more freeform than the captain's table and more audience participation and such. So feel free to come on by. Today we're going to be talking about the death of the 30K. It's dead. It's dead, Jim. It's dead. It's not fully dead. It's not really dead, but it's punchy. So let's get started with an announcement that CIG made recently, actually as of today. Let's go to the presentation real quick. So here this is on Star Citizen's Spectrum, on Spectrum itself. So if you haven't been to Spectrum, I know why. I haven't either. Not in a long time. This is an article that was posted by Wayne. Wayne, who's a member of the Star Citizen community team. Talking a little bit about what to expect for the patch watch for personal inventory in 3.15. It goes over some basic stuff, like, for instance, when you choose a primary residence, your ships and your stuff are going to be all over in wherever you've started. So it's you're stuck to one place. Wherever you choose your starting location, know that's where everything's going to be. It goes over some other stuff which has been talked about before in terms of how much stuff you have on hand and all sorts of things, which are great things to know, but we might go over it in another captain's table or office hours or another time, just to kind of go over the basics of this, but including things like looting. But the biggest thing that got everyone talking is the very bottom. Let me read it over. Server crash recovery. We heard you like trading fixes. Having lost a hull full of cargo ourselves due to pesky 30K error, we know all too well how frustrating encountering a server crash can be. For that reason, we're very happy to announce the addition of server crash recovery. So how does it work? We're adding a functionality that creates a heartbeat, regular logging with persistence for you and your ship. So in case of a server crash, the backend will recognize that an unexpected timeout has happened, allowing you to visit any ASOP terminal and spawn your ship intact and exactly as it was pre-crash. This means your cargo, ship status, health and fuel, and any items you had lying on your ship will return in the exact same state it was. I guess it was supposed to be that it was in. Now, it's important to note this is merely a simple interim fix. Long-term, this will be handled by the entity graph and server meshing work. Where we'll keep track of shard history, which will allow us to properly retrain information and restore you directly to the moment you left off, mid-quantum flight, etc. Nonetheless, while this is a temporary solution, it should be effective and reliable. It's also important to note that this new addition is specifically for server crashes. Client crashes will still be handled in the same way they are now, with current crash recovery functionality. This is currently in review and will hit PTU very soon. All right, so what does this mean? This means that CIG has put together an ad hoc solution for the 30K. Essentially, when you crash, you'll go back to wherever you were going to be spawned in. I'm assuming your original residence, possibly the closest place you're supposed to be in. And there you'll find your ship there, being able to spawn it with all of the stuff it was in the last time it had checked in. This means, effectively, 30Ks have been defanged, meaning you will no longer lose things as frequently to 30Ks. There's a caveat here. I'll go over that real quickly. As many members of my community have pointed out, there is a question about what a heartbeat is. So let's take a look at a clarification from Data of Red, posted today. Let me make it big so you can see. The heartbeat is every few minutes, but it might take 10 minutes for your ship to be restored. We're getting more details now. So effectively, it could take 10, 20 minutes for you to come back, and every few minutes is the heartbeat. So every few minutes, it'll update the information. So it's not as if 30K is fully dead. It's not fully slain. We still have 30Ks. But now we have a tool which is going to go around that, to a degree. It's also important to remember that this is not this is a separate tool, not a product of development, as I'll show you here. So the question was asked to Chad McKinney, who's one of the gameplay creators. He's one of the guys behind one of the folks behind all of the server entity stuff. He was asked, is this because of iCache? He said, no, the logic that handles this is actually entirely server-side via our normal persistence mechanisms. Excuse me. We knew that local inventory was going to make server crashes even more brutal. So CR asked me what I could do to mitigate it without back-end support. So I got creative. So this tool is effectively one created specifically for the game. This is a stopgap while they wait for more technology to come on board. So, as Chad has said, 30K is dead. Long live 30K. To keep everything in perspective, this means that likely you're still going to encounter 30Ks. You will always encounter 30K since it's an error code, not a bug. But the most common 30K, being server crashes, will no longer be as painful because of the heartbeats mechanism that will save your status every few minutes. Now, could you still reach edge cases where you go over, you buy your stuff, and you get a server error 30K right as you're taking off and going away, and the heartbeat didn't save everything? That's possible. It's 100% possible. It's probably going to happen. We'll probably hear about it and people screaming about it. Is it possible that this thing won't work in this first iteration and will be very, very iffy or barely even functional? Also 100% possible. It's not currently in the PTU. It will be in a future PTU patch for 3.15 though. So it's important to keep these things into context. But I would say effectively 30Ks are no longer the boogeymen that they were earlier this year, which is a good thing. And it's also a good sign because it means that CIG is developing tools to help us play the game now, not solely reliant on technology that's going to come in some far off distant future that whatever Chris Roberts says is going to be 3 months from that. So that's it. That's the end of 30Ks. the end of the pain of 30Ks. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this, come join us live every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, for an AMA, relaxed hangout, talk, analysis. Twitch.tv/theastropub and youtube.com/theastropub. Hope to see you there. All right. What? The old defanging the 30K. I've been saying for years, yes. Now to fix the 1608 errors. That stare. The awkward stare. I'm staring into your soul. The reason why the awkward stare is because I'm counting in my head for enough time for the post credits while the music is still playing. Show and stream. Adam, I'm judging you. I know what you're doing. And I'm not, well, I should say, I'm not judging you. I'm just judging, I'm not judging your actions, Adam. I'm judging that you're not letting me get involved. That's what I'm judging. So that means that we waited a long time ago. They could have solution a long time ago. Probably. I'm not gonna deny that that's a probably. I don't know if there's anything to do with iCache that this is done because of it, or if this is something that Chad McKinney knocked up because he was asked to and he could have done this earlier. It's hard to tell. We don't know, and without Chad coming out and saying that this is something they could only do because of new tech or because of specific tech that they developed before this, we don't know. Have I been enjoying the PTU? I haven't really played it, unfortunately. I've been so tired and busy. And it's been Cam's week off from work, so I've been hanging out with her after work and such. I actually have, you know what? I'm going to do my Warhammer moment here. the painting minis stuff, so. A-Star Pilot. Pub crawl tomorrow, though. Yes, we will be doing a pub crawl in the PTU, which means we're going to go actually get drunk in the game and continue to get drunk and try to stay drunk for the entire trip. So. That's morning for me, but good evening to you, Small Shelly. Enjoy your channel. Thank you, Paul. It was within reason we'll get next year, but it's great. Okay, yeah. Yep, that's why I'm doing retrospective, post-mortem. Or he's just saying, I can't believe it's about that. Well, I'll be right back. Be right back. All right, I've returned. As is tradition, every office hours, I'll show you what my latest paint was. And I've got this. This is an old Kill Team piece that I had from about a year or two ago. And I never got around to painting it because I've only recently gotten around to painting these scene pieces. But I thought I did pretty good. It's pretty basic. It's just a metal gantry, but... And I know I could have gotten a little bit more crazy with it, but I decided to keep it simple, kind of hit out some of the details and work on that. I've got more. primed, but I haven't gotten to them yet. Because it is October, so I'm trying to finish up some of my orcs. Does it look really gritty? Yeah. And of course, the Cutlass Purple. This is something I did for CitizenCon. I really like it. JRDF model. Buy them. They're only like $40. Welch's Cuddy Great. Yeah. Drunken game or drunk playing the game? Roy with 315, the answer is yes. I need to also shave. I'm getting a little bit bleh. Cospless Purple needs some RGB. Yeah. Note to folks watching Bunkers, have friendlies check your targets. There's goes review for me today. Yeah, that happens. That happens. You read the missions. Some of them say they have security personnel that you have to kind of hang out with, so you kind of have to babysit. They actually just 3 printed MSR. Nice. Where's the disco ball? I think that the dumbest part of the purple was the disco ball at the bottom. I don't think that was a good idea. I mean, I got it. It's a joke. But, like, I feel like if you just remove the disco ball and just put it inside the hanger, that would legitimately make me buy that shit. 315 is the first chemically enhanced in-game and real-life pub crawl. Exactly. Exactly. Any chance we get a taco truck? I still think it's going to happen. I'm still, like, almost 100% sure that we're going to see a taco truck in Star Citizen or something to that effect. A deployable disco ball. Yeah, something that can be deployed outside of it, but... I just managed to get a Nox cleanly to 400i and stable too. Good job, CIG. Oh, not bad. Speaking of pubs, do you think CIG will ever let me DJ at a Voyager bar? No, but I'll let you DJ at my bar. I'm still of the proposal. This is my next big proposal for CIG, is to give us MIDI controllers. And there's enough people who do music at CIG, who also do sound and stuff like that. Not just in the sound department, but in like the like head ups, like the higher ups, that I feel like I could convince them to help to try to work in a MIDI controller support for Star Citizen. Because even if it's just can open my mouth, or I can open my mouth and play music, or just have something that I can use as like a device that I can just play music out of. I'd love to see that. And I think CIG, because here's the thing. Star Citizen and all MMOs are social games. And the best of the most recent MMOs have all had some kind of musical instrument that you could play in-game. And I think CIG would be reticent not to do so. My pitch: give us a set of simple, deployable instruments. Of course, when I say this, the first thing everyone says is either lol, what Imagine bullshit, or lol, we don't even have functioning game. Why are you asking for a keyboard? It's like, ho, slow the fuck down. I'm saying this now so that hopefully when CIG gets around to not making the game barely function, that they could get to something like that. But anyways, moving back to that, cutting people off at the pass. Adding a couple of deployable in-game, like a keyboard or like a equipable guitar or whatever, even like a microphone, would go a great way to enhancing the experience of the game. Accommodate a MIDI input, yeah, or at least allow you to play MIDI through your keyboard. This is technology. That's technology that's ancient now. It's like 15 years old. I was playing MMOs in like 10 years ago that had that capability where you would essentially could even program in songs onto a musical instrument that you were using MIDI controls, like just MIDI translations from your keyboard. It's not a difficult task. The key is to make it look good, and that's what CIG really wants, is it to look good. But yeah, I think there's enough musically inclined that would be good. It would also 100% have people come into the game and play it just so they can play like music to people and people would actually listen. It's the kind of thing that MMOs are designed for. They're designed to get people together. And I'm not this isn't just a selfish request from me because I want bands to play at my bar to get people to show the fuck up. Though it's there. I know enough content creators on Twitch who either do music or content creators who do Star Citizen who do music to, do that. So. Lord of the Rings online. Yeah. MapleStory, ArcAge. I think even the latest the Final Fantasy MMO has it as well. Yeah. Enterprise is one of them. There are hundreds of TVs in the verse. What's the plans for these? Music TV channel? Well, but I don't know. That's the question. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they have. Never really done that. I just want a jizz band for my cantina, right? Yes. And before anyone goes, oh, that's lewd, that's the name of the band. That's the type of music that they play in the cantina. Blame George Lucas. My keyboard, mouse stopped working in Star Citizen a little while ago. Just as was coming into land, so crash and burn. Ouch. Ouch. That's funny and ouch. Hell, even Mordhau has it. Yes. And I know... Wait, no. I was going to say, I think Chris Roberts played Mordhau, but no, it's not. It's Valheim. I think that he played. Did I see your video, the end of 30K issue? Hi from down under. Hey, yeah, you just missed it. We talked about this earlier, but I'll go back to this real quick. So, the long and short of it is they've added a new tool called the Server Crash Recovery Tool. This is basically, this has nothing to do with tech that they're developing, but they develop it specifically to try to mitigate 30K issues. Every few minutes... They have a heartbeat. That's what it says here. Heartbeat is every few minutes. So this creates a heartbeat, which is a regular logging of of your activity and the status of your ship and your person. So when a 30K happens, you get sent back to wherever station you were from, but it saves your ship in that status, whatever the last heartbeat update was. And they said specifically this is a tool. This has little to nothing to do with the way that the future systems will work, that the future systems will make this more smooth. This has to do with a tool that they developed just for gameplay right now to limit the bite of 315 and persistence. So it's nice that they're able to do that. So yes, 30Ks are not technically dead. They'll never die. What is dead will never die. They can't die because it's just an error code that says you get disconnected from your server. That's going to happen even when full release. It just means that the 30K's pain of you dropping out because of you losing all your stuff, and you losing all your stuff because of 30K, that stuff is not going to be as frequent anymore, if at all. Some people may never have to see it again. And again, there could be some issues like the game could just never work. The tool could just never work and not work the way it's supposed to. Similar to how they've said, bed logout should work, and it's been fucking nothing for some times. So no, I don't think the 400i needs more guns. I think if you put it in the perspective that is the healthy perspective of a 400i, is that the 400i is not a Connie competitor. It's a budget Aquila or a fancy Dur. It sits between the medium ships and the large ships. It's the smallest of the large ships in terms of its content and what it does, but it still does everything better than the medium ships, but not quite as good as the larger ships. But it's also less expensive than the larger ships. It's still cheaper than the Aquila, which is like $275, $280. So, and in game, I'm sure the prices will reflect that the Aquila is a little bit more expensive than this. So, no, it's about the right size. It's just not a all-rounder. It's a solid ship, but you don't try to get it to do what it can't do. It's not a combat ship. It's the Origin Cutlass, yeah, without as much firepower, but it's not designed to do that. It's an exploration ship, not a combat ship. And it's why it's so fast and all its guns are facing behind it. Most of its firepower faces behind it. Yeah, no, John, and also it's important to remember that this tool is going to be in the PTU. It's not on the PTU yet, but it will be in the PTU soon. So it's right now it's essentially scheduled to release with 315. So even if you don't play the PTU, it should be in the game, in the live version. There's enough DACA to turn and burn, and you can put fixed size 4s on that thing. The 300i, which also has a Luxury Explorer, has more firepower than the 400i. No, it doesn't. You can't. The 315, you can't put it's got a fixed. It has a fixed front that's just a tractor beam. You can't replace it. But it's got two size wings, which are gimbaled size 2s or fixed size 3s. So it actually has worse firepower than the 400i. In the 325A, which is not an Explorer, has a slightly more firepower, but I think it has fixed size 4, maybe a fixed size 5 with two size 3 fixed or size 2 gimbaled. That's still less firepower than the 400. The 400 has 6 size 3s.
Weapons free, y'all.
2 fixed size 4s and a 2.654 and 4 6 gimbaled size 3s. If you're talking about pilot firepower, yeah, but it's not a combat. Like a Hornet has more firepower than a 400i. The 300i doesn't have more firepower. It has effectively 2 size 3s and a size 4. You can fix the guns on the 400i to size 4s. And the 300i, it does have a combat version, but the 300i does have a combat version, but it doesn't need to. Hey, speaking of 300s, Uri, what is you have a lot of experience with 300s. What is the maximum firepower you can put on a 300i? No, I don't think the G12 will be scaled to fit the 400i. It's closer to the Ursa. Yeah, but the 400i isn't a combat ship. Yeah, but we were talking about the 300i specifically. Off topic. Man, no one has brought up Garrett Vanya in years. I thank you for that. Garrett Vanya thanks you for that. Garrett Vanya just wants you to feel love. He wants you to feel affection and love. And the love of Seume. I want to bring back Garrett Vanya, but there's nobody I know. I know a lot of people who do tabletop RPGs, but it's very difficult for me to get into one of those games, especially with my own time constraints. So, thank you, Zane. That's a blast from the past, Zan. Who's that? So I played. So Grokkeys did a tabletop RPG show for a long time called Bad Rolls. It was myself. Grokkeys was the DM. I played in it, and then. Gosh, I forgot who else. I know Flint was in it. We had two other like moderators from the Bad News Gaming crew. But yeah, we did like a tabletop RPG, it's a D&D stuff. And I played a halfling cleric, a pacifist halfling cleric of Seun, which is the goddess of like love and affection and that kind of stuff. So essentially, he was a pansexual, horny priest. Everything he did was out of love. The whole joke came from like the idea of good touch, bad touch. So like when he would do lay on hands, instead of being like lay on hands, he'd be like give you like a massage. So like if like bleeding out of your like, he'd be like, you're very stressful. Just relax, feel the hands. And so people are just like, I'm a little uncomfortable, but I feel much better now. And then the wounds heal. Pansexual who likes bread. Yes. He loves the bread. He had restraint. He understood restraint. He did seduce a minotaur though. Also, nice thumbnail. Thank you, Stratbrack. That actually took me a lot less time than I thought it would. When I did it, I was like, that works. Because we talked about we I know people are going to be like, that's clickbait, but it is, but we talked about it. Now you know. And knowing is the entirety, knowing is half the battle. The other half is violence. Why are we still on this 400 thing? The 400 is not a combat ship. It does not need shit tons of guns. If you want a combat ship that's that size, get a Connie or even better, a Corsair, which has fuck tons of guns and fucks people up. That's it. That's it. The 300i. And saying that 300i is not a combat ship either is misleading. It is a combat ship. It's a utility ship. It also has if you're going to compare it to its exploration version, which is the 315p, it doesn't have the same kind of firepower. The 400i does. But the 300 is a racing luxury ship, not an exploration ship. Because like that argument is like, well, yeah, so does the Gladius. The Gladius has more firepower. So does the Hornet, which is smaller than the 400. So does the freaking Freelancer has more firepower than a than a 400. That's not the point. 315 is the exploration point. Yes, the 315p is the exploration. The 300i is not. Look up the details. It's even in the descriptions. The 300i is the base variant that's designed for multi-purpose. The 315p is the exploration version. It has always been, and always will be until CIG completely changes its role as to like cargo, I guess. .315 is a fantastic smuggling ship. It is when we do more. I think I'm gonna do a breakdown of smuggling ships, the best smuggling ships in the game, for a video, and that'll probably talk about that. I'm loving all this 300 stuff. I like the 300. I think the 300 is a sleeper ship, and I think when we get into places like Pyro, you're gonna see a shit tons of 325As. They're just going to be all over the fucking place because they have huge fuel tanks compared to their rivals. So they can go much longer distances without having to refuel. How does one smuggle? That's a good question, actually. Because in Star Citizen, you can buy essentially illegal goods and sell them at specific locations. Which would be effectively illegal trading, or another word for smuggling. If you get caught and scanned by NPC police, you do get in trouble. You can go to jail, and you can get fines and such. So like if you linger around or just get unlucky and get pulled out of Quantum and get scanned by the cops, yeah, you got to run. Because you will go to jail. So there is that. And there are specific locations where you can sell. The advantage of smuggling in general is, and this is me, the high priest of smuggling in Star Citizen, is you don't need a big ship to make a lot of money. In theory, especially with the new changes, you should be able to match some of the bigger traders with a cutlass. You can make, if everything works out the way I think it will, you can make probably as much money as faster than someone with a full cat of the most meta stuff. You can make it much faster with smaller amounts of cargo in a cheaper ship like a 315 or a Cutlass. Well, I have to double check all of the kind of the transaction rates and how everything's changed, because since they fixed trading, I haven't really done the details yet. And I want to wait until 315 is live to do another smuggling guide, but 315, I'm finally going my first tour around the community. Open challenge to all who wants to smoke. He's apparently, Smoke is dedicated to his 300s. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about it. The 350R is also another ship that's racing. The bottom turrets can shoot in the same direction as the pilot. Not the top turret, but the bottom turrets that are on the bottom can shoot in the exact same direction. They struggle to hit the same target, but they can hit the same target. But the point, Jester, the point is mute, because the 300 is, saying that the 300 has more firepower completely misses the point of the 400, which is it's not a single-person ship. It's a multi-crew ship. If you're using the 400 as a single-person ship, you shouldn't. Don't use that ship. Go get a Connie or a Corsair, or even better, for cheaper and smaller maneuverability, the Cutlass or the 300i, or the 300i, the Freelancer. Those are just better versions that can carry more cargo. Like the 400i was never supposed to have shit tons of teeth kicking in firepower, because at that point it becomes a combat ship, not a luxury touring ship. The end of 30K. The Emperor is dead on the throne. The Primarchs are missing. It's been 10,000 years. It's not 425 yeah. No, Jester. It's not that we're jumping down your throat about anything. It's just I've seen people say like 400i is weird because it needs more guns, or it doesn't have the right, or it needs more cargo or something like that. And I think the reason why is because people are comparing it to its bigger cousins and not its advantages compared to the smaller cousins. Like, it is a better ship than the Cutlass, not because of the firepower, but because it has dedicated transport bay for a bike, and its own cargo bay. Now, the cargo bay is slightly smaller than the Cutlass, but the Cutlass would have much smaller cargo if it had to carry a bike as well. Possibly less than the 6 difference, because it's got 42 cargo units, whereas the Cutlass has 46. So, and I think a bike is more than 3 SCU. It takes more than 3 SCU. So that pair off, you are doing better with a 400i. A Freelancer, which is the exploration version, can't even carry a Cyclone, but the 400i can. So it has that flexibility of carrying a Cyclone as well. Where the 400 shines is its multi-crew. It has flexibility and multi-crew capabilities. I wonder if the Boreal Stalker can tear into a ground vehicle. That's a good question. And lo, the 30K has died. All hail the 40K. 400i also has a giant fuel tank. I flew it from Horizon to Microtech and back to prison and didn't even use half a tank. Yeah, which is an exploration ship. It should have a giant tank. I wouldn't be surprised if someone slapped a Jaeger on that bad boy and flew it around to see like it just sips fuel as it goes going. Stalker versus Tonk. I would pay to see that. Nah, the 400i doesn't need a med bed. It would make it far too overpowered for a med bed. For direct comparisons, I remember the turrets likely have their own. They do have their own comparison, their own capacitors. Yeah, so you have more firepower in those turrets than you would. Effectively, you have more firepower in the turrets than you do in smaller ships as well. That's a good point. The 400i weapon capacitors are also about 3 times bigger than the 300s. Yeah, that's true. So DPI is also important. It's important to keep into the capacitor side, not just the rate of fire, not just that stuff. Yeah. Even the crew guns, not just the main guns. Yeah, the BMM has a med bed now. How about the fuel capacity? I can imagine the 400 has a much better fuel capacity than most of the smaller ships. I don't think it'll probably have similar fuel capacity to something like a Connie or a possibly even MSR. If it has the same fuel capacity as MSR, whoo, Lord, that makes it a fucking amazing exploration vessel, because it's just the 400 the MSR, you can slap the most fuel hungry QTs on it and it just barely knocks it down, because the MSR is just packed to the rafters with fuel. It runs on alcohol like Oral Origin pilots. Yes. Can the MSR explore? It's not really designed to explore, but it's designed to go very long distances because it's an info runner. So it has to have thick quantum tanks so it can go long distances. It doesn't. I don't think its hydrogen capacity is very big, but its quantum is huge. 600i feels like a sexier, dumber MSR. So it feels like a himbo? The 400i is the himbo of the MSR? Oh, does it have double hydrogen tanks? I just know it last I tried, it was super thirsty for hydrogen, but it sipped quantum. Size 2? Okay. Hey, Yuri. I've been saying that for a while now, and a lot of people like. I'm gonna correct something as well, because someone posted a comment on one of the latest 24-hour stuff. By the way, I'll want to update y'all. I have all of the 24 sections, all sections. I have 8 of the 16 sections downloaded. I'm going to be uploading these sections pretty much every day till the end of October. I'm trying to, because YouTube literally destroyed the 2 that I uploaded 2 in the same day, and it was just like, part of that's probably thumbnail and stuff like that, but I'd have to really sit down and knock all of that out. So in order for me to kind of like do it right, and YouTube hates double video posting. And so I don't want to ruin the channel, because if I piss off the algorithm, I no longer get promoted, which means that no one watches it. It's a weird thing. So what I'm going to do is every day I don't have a regular video posting, I will post a new section of the 24-hour live stream we did on Sunday for Doctors Without Borders talking about CitizenCon. So by the next week, I should be through the 8 sections I have uploaded now. And probably by the next week, so in 2 weeks, I will have all of the 24-hour sections up with their own unique thumbnails and everything else like that. So if you want hours worth of content just to listen to people talk, yeah, if you want to, if you comment and like those videos, it does help the algorithm significantly. But yeah. So where will the Ares be displayed in Crusader? Looks like the display is being used. I don't know. Because it's come out in 3.15.1. It's a mountain of transcoding that too. Yeah. Cheers. Oh wait. Hey Parker. Is it already marked out? Okay. I literally have not been able to explore any of 3.15 because they released it at CitizenCon. The next day, I explored like 2 hours worth of it. Then the next day I did a 24-hour, and then I've been spending time with Cam. She's assembling her Sisters of Battle. So last night, like we hung out, watched some stuff previous nights, and then last night I was painting some of my orc bikers. Well, she was assembling her minis, and we're talking and hanging out. So I've been doing that. I've been doing the husband duties. I like to do it anyways, and she has time, so it's nice. But yeah, so I haven't had a chance to get 3.15. So Friday will be the first chance I really get to dig into 3.15. Zark, what are you asking about with 3.15 or 3.50R? Oh, I saw there was a question earlier that I just kind of completely skipped over. Okay, Forgotten Horizons. There we go. Sorry about that. What size do you see the final release Polaris being, along with the final pledge price? I think the hangars is going to get bigger and the price is going to get a hefty bump. Yeah. If John Crew has anything to say about it, that can almost guarantee you that's going to happen. So we got caught up in that 400 stuff. There's another question here. Question, how many drinks does it take to get properly shit-faced in Star Citizen? Or tomorrow's a day of such science? Tomorrow is for science! For smuggling, 3.15. 3.15p, hands down, best ship of the 300 series. Just for like a very quick overview, the best ships for smuggling starting out, 3.15. This is gonna confuse people. The Nomad, 3.15, then the Nomad, then the Cutlass Blue, or the Cutlass Black, interchangeably, then the MSR. But the MSR only because of its bespoke capabilities. Possibly the Taurus as well, because I haven't checked it out, but the back bay of the Taurus is also shielded, so you might be able to do that. Do we know anything more about the Corsair? Not yet. I wouldn't expect the Corsair to come out for another year or so, but maybe sooner. Actually, isn't it on the list? It's on the release list, I think. I don't think the power creep is real. I think it's just like the 400i is just a victim of its release, and that its job is not to compete with other ships. Its job is to fill a niche that is not really needed but available. I thought it was on the release view even. No, it's not. It's I guess it's on the progress tracker, but I know it's being worked on, so it could come in 3.18, which would be like July of 2022. But the key for smuggling ships is the 315 is speed, cargo capacity, which isn't a lot of cargo capacity. It's minimum cargo capacity, speed, cargo capacity, stealth capabilities, and fuel usage, like fuel size. Because you obviously want to go long distances, so you want a ship that can sip quantum fuel as it's going someplace, or has big tanks, has some speed to it, so it can run away, because you're not going to fight. You don't really need guns, you just need fighting. You need a flying, not flight, not fight. And you don't need a ton of cargo. In fact, too much cargo space is a bad thing. If you're trying to hit for absolute optimal size, 10 to 20 cargo units is the optimal size right now, because 20 cargo, you can get 20 cargo units sold at places like Orinth. You can get sell like 20 ETAM and 20 Neon, usually for like 20 to 30K for those 10 each. So you're getting about between 40, minimum 20, maximum 60K from a run of that, using that. And you only need 20 SCU. So the perfect ship that hits that sweet spot right now is the Nomad. It's pretty small. It has decent quantum capabilities, and it's got some decent speed for its size. The best ship in that size range, though, would be the 315P, followed by the Blue, because the Blue only has like 12 units of cargo, so it's not quite optimal, but, or maybe I think it has like 20 units of cargo, so it's about optimal, and it's the fastest of the Cutlass series, so it's super good at getting there and getting out. Ironically, the cop car is the best smuggler. After seeing the new Origin ships with the 600 LI looks like crap. Rework when? Soon. It's actually in gold standard. It's getting its gold update soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was in Squadron 42 or if it's just something they wanted to redo. Now that they've gone back and done the 400i, the 300i, the 890, you know, they're doing the M50 rework. It seems like they're doing some like major reworks on the Aegis and Origin series right now. Thank you for that subscription for 31 months. Argo cargo with the Liberator. Free fly little MPVU. Yeah, yes. It's got cop shocks, cop motor, cop steering, etc. Yes. Yes. If I get a Cutlass Blue in game, I'm naming it the Bluesmobile. Freelancer DIR. So here's the issue with the DIR. The freelancers in general. They're not fast. The DIR is good for its extended range, and it's got 20 plus units of cargo, I think. But it's not fast. And it's not maneuverable. Now, straight line speed is your best option, but you also would like some maneuverability to get around things. Oh, there we go. Some stuff for that. Does the 315 fit in the 890 jump? Oh yeah, you could fit like 3 of them in the 890. But yeah, it's designed to fit the 315. Redeemer, I think? No. The problem with the Redeemer is we don't know its speed yet, but it doesn't look like a fast ship. Its cargo, I don't know its full cargo capabilities, but it doesn't, she's too chunk for something like smuggling. Do I think ship tractor beam is far off? Not too far off. I'd imagine that the ship tractor beams will come in when they have the cargo refactor done, which they're working on. So. I hate that they focus so much on Origin ships. They should be the last ships to be produced. Not necessarily. I feel like the Origin was last to be produced in many ways in terms of its update. And now that they're kind of still on that update cycle, they're kind of going through and fixing it. And I'd imagine also that the Origin ships may have something to play, some roles to play in Squadron 42, which is why they're focusing on them. Because if you're already sitting down and reworking assets for a ship, for one like line of ships, then you might as well just go on and do the rest of them. Hey, UE Navy, how you doing, buddy? If they're reworking Aegis, maybe there's hope to see functionality Gladiator within a few years. Fingers crossed. Well, Gladiator is an Anvil ship, not an Aegis ship, but yeah. Sorry, I was not on live during last weekend. That's fine. We were so tired. Oh, if I got serious with my coffee pot. Yes, that's bad. Do you think they'll finish working on the Phoenix? Hot tub still doesn't work. I feel like they're probably having to work on, with that one, they probably have to work on water physics a little bit more and other stuff like that. But yeah, they're still going to work on the Phoenix. The Phoenix also supposed to have a point defense turret, which it doesn't have. I don't understand why CIG relates the 400i to the Connie. If you literally cut off the toothpick nose, the 400i is more comparable to the Freelancers, and you can't compete against the Connies. I agree. So I've said that it's not a Connie competitor. I think CIG is mismarketing it. It's a upscale cutlass Freelancer competitor. But it sits between the Freelancer and the Connie. So I get that the desire to say it's a Connie competitor. It's a budget Connie. But that isn't really in the marketing. That would be a bad marketing by Origin. Because Origin wouldn't be like, get your cheap-ass ship that doesn't even do better than the luxury ship made by our competitors. We're the luxury guys. Promise us. We promise. It would have been better to say, look at this sexy-ass Freelancer competitor. It's bigger, stronger, has more shit. You gotta love it. Question. Do we know when/if the Aegis Gladiator will get to rework is actually usable, or does it want to be now? Aegis doesn't make the Gladiator. Anvil makes the Gladiator. Also, yeah, it's actually usable right now. The Gladiator is great. Gladiator is fantastic. But size 5 torps really do work on the right ships. And with the twin seater makes it really effective. That the turret gunner, you need a turret gunner, but the turret gunner has so much fucking firepower. Three gladiators is a dangerous motherfucking sight. Do not underestimate 3 gladiators. That's 6 people. That's we've done that before, at least in 314 PTUs, and just fucking wrecked people with that shit. The UE uses 350 hours for Black Ops, so I think they would be in Squadron 42. They might be, yeah. The 409 made me reconsider my stance on Origin. The interior is by far the most well-designed interior of any medium-large ship so far. Yeah, I'd agree with that. 400 should be the tour, no pilot guns, just the turrets, and better living instead of the hold. A hole in the dining area. What hole in the dining area? Aegis Gladiator when? Never. It's never going to happen. Max asks, do you think Origin will make a luxury MPUV? Hey, it's in the cards. Actually, they did. It's called the X-52 or 32, whatever, the X ship. The X2, I don't remember the name of it. It's the snub ship for the 890. 85X, thank you. 85X. But no, the 400i has guns because because ships need guns in the Star Citizen universe for some reason. It shouldn't have any guns, but then no one would buy it. Yeah, it's the closest that you're going to get from an Origin snubcraft. It's designed for people. Oh, the Holo? Well, the only reason why the Holo seems useless right now is because we don't have long-range scanning in. Well, when the 400i is used for its explicit purpose, which is exploration, it will start making sense. It'll probably have a lot of advantages over the DUR, which doesn't have something like that, because you can be able to use that to plan routes or whatever. So CIG seems to be really wanting to put those Holos in exploration ships, so they're going to have some sort of use in the near future. Hell, I could see a 400i being used as a C&C ship, because she's fast, can get away from trouble. As kind of a budget version of a command and control ship. Because of that globe. Question, do you think the Aquila will get a holo table? No, I don't think so. Though it may. The entire interior of the Connie needs to get a rework. So we'll see how that works. Hey, Solomus. The MSR versus 400 shows CIG's packaging improvements nicely. Much less open, unused space. Only a year apart. Now just hope the MSR launches fill out. Haunches fill out. We'll see. I think I think that ship has sailed, but I've said that before about other ships. The DUR has better scanners than the 400i. Do we know that for sure though? Because I mean, like right now it does, but it may not have for long range scanners. I didn't know Josh Coons left CIG. I didn't know either. It makes sense though. Coons is he's a very talented dude. I'm sure someone paid him a lot of money to leave. He still says he's still at CIG, then I'm sure he's still at CIG. If his LinkedIn still says that. I've met Josh a couple times. He is as eclectic as he seems. He is very Austin. Let me put it that way. Yeah, I guess Josh Coons is still at CIG. Where are you getting that, Exeneer, where are you getting that information that he left? Do you think we'll see Hollow Pool? Because the 400i Hollow table looks like the Anvil pool table? Maybe. It's more designed around the Carrick's Hollow table or the, yeah, I think it's just the Carrick is the one that has that. I guess the Javelin, I think, and the Idris both have them as well. And before they whole lock the Banu Merchantman and raise the price to above Origin 890 jump, it's going to go above the 890 jump, y'all. Look at me right now. Look at me. The Banu Merchantman is going to be over $1,000. Maybe not in the IAE, but I can guarantee you it's going to be over $1,000 by the time it gets to its final release. A, it's growing to be about the same size as an 890. B, it has almost the same functionality as the 890, except for, it has almost the same exact functionality, just slightly tweaked. It actually technically has more usability because it has those configurable markets, which, the 890 sort of doesn't need, but doesn't really have. So it actually has some gameplay usage beyond transportation of VIPs. It has fuck you guns. It has a medical respawn bay, probably, unless that's a size 3, which would be weird to have tier 3 beds on a ship the size of an A90. And it's an alien ship. So adding the alien tax in, adding the big fuck you guns in, adding the more usability, it's easily over $1,000. Carrick and the BMM took the 890 jump to the cleaners. Not really. The Carrick is its hangar is still too small compared to the 890. And I think the 890 will still have more usable space for its hangar than the BMM will. I think you'll be able to just cram stuff into the hangar of the BMM and barely get it to work. Whereas I think you can comfortably fit 3 300s in the hangar bay and in the hangar, on the elevator of the 890. You can fit 3 300s in that thing if you just push them to the back. You push them into the basketball court area. Alien cargo life forever. So very sweaty. Not really. Comfortably, it's 1. Okay, yeah. But yeah, still, you could put 3 100s in that thing. You could put dozens of P-72s in that thing. Tons of Merlins. The way that the Banu Merchantman looks like, it probably isn't very comfortable to fit but one ship of that size. Vertigo fit a freelancer in an 890. Vertigo is that kind of guy. I don't doubt it. Endeavor, make the drugs. 315p, run the drugs. BMM, sell the drugs. All them dregs. Not buying anything bigger than my Carrack. Needs stuff towards when it comes out. Yeah, well, on top of that, drugs. You need people to work. Like, the Banu Merchantman's going to require multiple people to run. Like, one person is not going to do that. It's a capital now, well over 1,000 USD. Oh yeah, it's going to easily be. I don't think they'll sell it at IAE for over 1,000. Could be wrong with that. Distress bacon. I wouldn't be surprised if it went up to $600 or $700 in the next IAE. But definitely by the time it releases, whew, yeah, over $1,000.
2 words. Distress bacon.
What is a hull lock? I don't know. I don't know what the hull lock is. I don't know what they're talking about with hull lock.
Drugs.
Weapons free, y'all.
I need a timeout on that. Nah, just wait for chat to get tired of it. It's the reason why I turned off the sound effects for office hours for the longest time, because I knew some smart guys were gonna do that. What's with all the drugs? I don't know. Ask CIG. They're the ones who are giving it to us in 315. They just really want drugs. They really want to participate in the drug trade of 315, aka getting themselves high as balls off of medical drugs. All right, y'all, cut it out. Okay. This is why you can't have nice things anymore.
Drugs. Drugs.
There you go. Chat, you lost your privileges. Blame the abusers. Mr. Shelley is laying down the law. Has anyone tried out the new 30k recovery? I don't think it's in the game yet. I think it's going to be in the next patch. I just like to point out that I was behaving myself. You just want a gold star, don't you, you brown noser? Hey, Papa Heavy. So in theory, with that huge fuel scoop, it should never pay for fuel. I mean, you'll still have to pay for fuel. It's going to gulp fuel. It just will make it much more efficient. The question, are rock minables still very scarce on planet moon surfaces? I haven't done mining in a while, so I wouldn't know. Chat, you gotta help me out with that. Are rock minables still rare? Isn't the 890 jump still getting the special armor? The special armor? I don't know if it had plot armor, maybe? I don't know. Is Exeneer asking, okay, I wish backers voted for another ground vehicle. It's not like we don't have much of exploration ships already. Oh yeah, let me tune into my psychic abilities again and let you know. The exploration ship is going to win that vote for the next ships, the next 4 ships, but it'll be the last thing we see. We'll see it in concept CitizenCon 2952. We won't see it anytime soon. The first thing we'll get is probably the ground vehicle. The second thing we'll get is probably the bomber. And the third thing we're going to get is the hovercraft. The only reason why the hover bike I don't think we're going to get soon is because they don't seem to like hover bikes right now, and they're still working on them. But the fact that they're going to be releasing one tells me that they're working on it. But the ground vehicles they've been working on recently, so that makes sense. The bombing they just finished, so yeah, they definitely want to build a little mini bomber. And the last one. And we already know that there's a bomber that we're working on before they even announced this call that was, or at least we suspect because leaks, talked about the Achilles Star Bomber, which could be a Crusader mini bomber. I wouldn't be surprised if that released at Invictus next year. And then a ground vehicle, which has been in the theorizing for a while. Something I theorized back when the original mistake in terms of the sorting of the ships, possibly a medical transport, ground vehicle medical transport, because of medical, feel like that's probably going to come out probably already in concept. Maybe release in 316. Definitely being sold at IAE, I think. I think the longbow was fake. I think the longbow was the Liberator. Yeah, ballista based. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a ballista, a dual purpose ballista APC / medical transport. It's essentially the Anvil ballista chassis, but being used for armored personnel transport and or medical transport. No, the Achilles Star Bomber. The Achilles Star Bomber. For such a wholesome company, Crusader has a lot of warships for sale. They do. Hey, Commissar, thanks for that resub. Just tuned in. How much did I miss? Well, the 30Ks are dead now. CIG is implementing a tool to ending 30Ks. And we had a long discussion about the 400i. And chat lost the privileges for using sound effects. War is peace. Exactly. I was going to make some joke about, like, take a look at Boeing's history. Boeing makes a lot of very peaceful ships, peaceful planes. They also a lot of guns. What is the Atlas platform mentioned in the Liberator brochure? Let me look that up. I'm not finding the Liberated brochure anymore. I'll just go to the Star Citizen's main site. They probably should have it there. All right, here we go. From the Navy's most ubiquitous fighters to massive warships and large-scale troop and vehicular transport, Anvil is synonymous with space combat and military operations due to no small part to a laser-focused mission at hand. Anvil continues the tradition of excellence with Liberator, an open-air vehicle carrier that applies the tradition of long-range transport to smaller scale, designed for the same quantum drive and long-scale capacities of military spec carriers and pathfinders, but tailored to civilian market. The Liberators put your fleet in the front lines of any operation. I'm not seeing Atlas. Where is it mentioned Atlas? Constellation should be a good bomber too. We'll see. I don't know if they'll have something like that. It's not really a brochure. It's a it's the site page. It doesn't have a full brochure, unless it does, and I'm not seeing it. Okay, it's under the vehicle bay. Okay. Liberator cockpit. Missiles. Docking collar. Vehicle bay. So the interior bay accommodate 2 ground vehicles of any size, including exploratory rovers, battle tanks, and Anvil's own Atlas platform chassis. I can tell you what that is. I can also tell you that CIG just tipped their hand. The Ballista is the Atlas platform. So they've changed the Anvil Ballista from being an Anvil Ballista to being an Anvil Atlas Ballista, probably. That's their tip, because it says the interior bay accommodates 2 ground vehicles of any size, including exploratory rovers, battle tanks, and Anvil's own Atlas platform chassis. Chassis is the key there. And this is talking about vehicle bays. There's only one vehicle that we know of that Anvil makes, which is the Ballista. We have seen in concept art that the Ballista is there is something out of the Ballista chassis that they put in there for those 4 ground vehicle, that whole voting thing. So we know what they're going to be releasing. It's the Anvil Atlas. I think they forgot. They mentioned it as kind of like a offhanded thing. I hate to be a cynic here, but CIG announcing the fixing of issues caused by 30K reminds me when they announced that they would be fixing with a lot of 314. Yeah, we mentioned that when we went over the 30K fixes, is that it could do nothing. It could fix all the problems, but the fact that they set aside time to build a bespoke thing to improve the experience of people now is nice, and they'll likely work on it until it works, or until they have to abandon it and do something else anyways. So with a name like Atlas and their tradition of cheese, I assumed it's a mech suit leak. No, because the key was chassis. They say chassis. You don't like. I don't know of using the term chassis for mechs. I guess you could use a chassis for mechs, but it seems much more like vehicle. And besides, we know what the mech suit is called. It's called the not the Atlas. My brain is dying for some reason. This is why I'm not recovered from the 24 hours. Titan. That's the name of it. The Titan. And I'm sure chat's is going, Titan. Titan suit. Thank you. Yeah. Bet the Atlas is a troop transport vehicle, medical and resupply, same as chassis for Ballista. Yep, that's my guess as well. As I said, So thank you for putting that out there, Benjamin. We know that the next vehicle that's coming out soon, because we know there's a ground vehicle coming out, is the Anvil Atlas. So they're going to have the ballistas, could be a version of it, and then they're going to also probably have, my guess is a troop transport, like a 10-man or the 16-man or something like that. Drop seat, like seats you just latch into for an armored APC, because it also already has the coaxial guns. So maybe a seat for like a co-pilot to use the coaxial guns, or one of the troopers using the guns, the coaxial gun while the driver drives, and then also a medical version. Quactical guns, yes. Chassis, as usual, language means frame of vehicle. Yeah, usually a chassis is used for a vehicle. You could technically use chassis for mechs, but Attack on Titan, yes. The jokes will happen. Also, Titanfall. Can you explain what hull locking is and how it works, please? I don't know. Someone mentioned hull locking, and I don't know what that means. Whoever mentioned that in chat, about the hull locking of the Banu Merchantman. What did you mean by hull lock? I don't know what that means. Titan drop ship. I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, that's definitely what the Liberator can do. I'm also going to go on record again and say the Liberator is not a replacement for the M2. Do not buy a Liberator unless you want to transport lots of shit. The M2 is not just a transport, it is also a death machine designed to shoot anything below it. It's also tougher than it's tough as shit. The Liberator is not really designed to hit shit. It has some defense capabilities and some missiles, but most of that is just marketing speak. It's designed just to carry shit. Hull limited. Okay, so the hull lock may be in reference to hull limiting. I don't think it'll get hull limited. It's never been, but I could see it if it gets bigger. It's a space LCAC. It's more than a space LCAC. It's a space LCAC mixed with an LHD. It's like a mini LHD. And as have I heard at least one Marine say, I don't know what I feel, how I feel like my LHD becoming a landing platform, becoming an assault craft. Welcome to the 30th century. Fuck your safety, Marine. Grab your shit, eat some crayons, and get over it. That's mean. Though I know Marines joke about the crayons themselves. Now that printing is common makes sense. Exactly. Yeah, your body could be regenerated. Though this was, I believe that this is likely built before that, but yeah. I see the Liberator as a clean-cut vehicle transport supply depot, but maybe a small fortress if you're only going against small arms fire. Yeah. The orange crayons taste the best. Crayons come in 24 delicious flavors. You heard the rock barely fits into the 400i now? I mean, it could fit a Cyclone. They removed the Stargate-esque jump points. I was really looking forward to those. I don't think they have. That would be some clarification from CIG. But I think they're still planning on those. So the thing to understand about jump points is that jump points are naturally forming phenomena. So any kind of thing built around a jump point would be built to enhance that jump point. So, and CIG is also looking at multiple approaches to jump points. So if I were to give CIG any points, I don't think removing the gate is a good idea. I think keeping the gate is a great idea because it forces players to think linearly. That's the gate. I must go through the gate. But smart players will know that jump points are not just stable in one location. They have multiple mini points that will show up around an area. So most people will just go through the well-trodden path, where everybody else, if it wants to try to get sneaked their way in, can find those little temporary openings that open around them and use them to get into the tunnels and get their way through. So they can go in or out of sneaky ways. Linear versus lateral, yeah. So as a result, most players will, though that big infrastructure is a great, eye-catching thing. It causes players to direct them. That is where I need to go. This is obviously CIG telling me this is where I should go. Now, obviously, you shouldn't do that for every jump point, but for well-trodden, well-developed jump points that have lots of traffic going through or had traffic going through, that makes sense. Previously, a rock or a cyclone that's taller than just the RC version, but would be too tall for it to fit under the 400i. RC fits now. Oh, okay. So essentially, jump points are naturally occurring. So there are natural like they might have a station around the entrance, but you don't know where it is. You have to scan for the entrance to find it and then jump through it. Even though if it's tracked. I'm glad CIG didn't drive the hype in too hard this year. It makes me believe that they're trying to be more realistic in their goals and the roadmap updates. Yeah. Which also should be its own hype, because it means that a lot of the stuff we saw in CIG at CitizenCon is probably a year away. Rather than a maybe someday lol sandworm. Do I think the Liberator will be able to hold a Valkyrie? No, it's too big. You might be able to cat rules it on top. That depends on the sides, if the sides are sloped or if they're if they have some clearance. I wouldn't be surprised if you could fit a Valk Liberator on top of a Anvil Liberator, but it would take up both of the landing slots. It depends on how much up the lips are. Still open for some sketchy Drake cargo stuff like the one in Serenity, but piratier. Yeah, maybe. Frequency for available jump points through though will vary from time to time. Yeah. Those Pyro 3 clouds, yes. Mwah. Protection, the triple layered graphene enabled hull of Kruger Armaments K6DB shield work together to ensure that your craft not only can withstand the vigors of galactic travel. Are you talking about like the special 890 armor? Is that what you're talking about, Robert? Hull limited. I don't think the Banu Merchantman's going to be hull limited. No. What if there was just a secret undiscovered jump point somewhere in the Stanton? Nobody has found it yet. Just out in deep space by nothing. I know it doesn't exist. But stuff like that would be cool as fuck in the future. It's going to happen in the future. It's just once CIG has... and I don't think CIG, at least for the first time, CIG will tease us about it. They'll tell us there is an undiscovered jump point somewhere in the verse. Good luck. They'll say that. And by the time they finish saying luck, someone's going to be like, it's over there. Because some asshole's going to scrape the API and know exactly where the location is. Bijan, how you doing, buddy? 30K for life. You think you get rid of me that easily? I ripped your teeth out. Hey, Kinsian. Besides, the Emperor is still on the Golden Throne, so of course I can't get rid of 30k that long. It's a legacy. Random thought of the day, completely off topic, but what do you think about the population of ArcCorp would be? Billions. Billions of people. Probably close to what Earth is today. 8 billion? Maybe more. It's a super Earth, so it's huge. So 8 billion people is not a lot, especially when you have pretty much 90% usable space. Well, you also got to think, Kirpin, you also got to think about like how much of this is automated. I'm sure there's plenty of automation, so you don't have to have as many people to work. 20 billion? We don't have the numbers yet, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't think 20 billion. I would say less than 20 billion, but probably more than 5 billion. What's your understanding of the shard fiasco going around? All right, so let's talk about this real quickly. So, the best way to understand server meshing, and here's the thing, is when you log into the game, you will be put into a shard. That shard is distinct from other shards. So when you log into that shard, there may be 2 other shards, there may be 100 other shards, but anyone who's not in your shard with you cannot interact with you directly. And the goal is to up the capacity of these shards so that over time they can get as few as possible, possibly just 1 shard in the future. But until that point, we're going to have shards, which is essentially what we have now, in the sense that when you log into a server, you're going to be put into a server with other people. Now, the question is, are these shards going to lock you in? Or are they going to be like they are now, where they just kind of randomly jump you into whichever one's available? And are they like can you choose them? If you can't lock in, can you choose them? Which means it'd be like a server in a typical MMO. I think those are the 2 big ones. The goal is always they're always going to try to get one global shard, but they think with current technologies that may not be possible. Their hope is their current hope is regional shards. So what we have now, but scaled. So instead of having a dozen servers for the US, we have a shard for the US, a shard for the AU, and a shard for the EU. God, so I haven't uploaded the discussion we had with Burks about this because I was brain dead and still didn't get it. I still don't fully get it. The question becomes, essentially, can you move shards, or are they fixed? From the way that CIG talked about prioritizing friends, it seems like you do not have fixed shards. But every time you get into a game, you are put into a shard. That would mean that, effectively, you will never know you're not playing with the entire world. So if I'm joining in on, say, Darj, who's playing, obviously he's playing on the EU servers because it would drop him to an EU server automatically because it's the best ping for him. And if I join him on his game, then I will be dropped into the EU server with him, the EU shard with him. And if I'm playing and Darsh joins on me, it'll be join the North American servers. That make sense? Yeah, heck, Kemi, it's you and AC Vertigo this weekend. Horrible pings and all. I think that's just what the price you're going to make. It pays for it. I think that's more likely, based off of what they said, is the plan. Because the reason why you have shards, players locked to a shard in a traditional MMO, is because that shard also holds all of the inventory and all of the information. But with the current persistence, the way they're doing it as a separate kind of instance, you don't need that. You know, it doesn't matter what server I'm on, all of my shit is already stored somewhere else in the game, even right now, in 3.15 especially. All my shit's stored on a separate service. So that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't be linked to that server. The thing that gets complicated, if that's the case, is base building. Do you build a base on the EU shard, and does that base exist in the North American shard and in the Australian shard? Or is that empty and somebody else can build a base there, and you can only go to that shard to see that? That is the problem. That is where the things fall apart, because you won't ever know, based off of what CIG wants to do, what shard you're in. I mean, there's probably ways you can funge around with it, but like make it, figure it out, or like tweak it. Players will figure out a way, but total eclipse of the shard. So which are you going to be, Paul? The RP US West? I don't think we'll ever see that. I think some people are thinking, I think that's the worst case scenario that people are whipping themselves up into a fury about, is saying that, oh, this is going to be the case. I don't think that's the case based off of what they've said, though some clarification would be nice on that one, because I think that's the sticker. The sticker is, are you locked to a shard? And if you're not locked to a shard, then what about bases? And if you are locked to a shard, how the fuck am I going to play with my friends if I'm locked with a shard? I need to be able to choose what shard I'm entering, not be just randomly shuffled into whatever shard I want. I have. Because if I'm locked, I'm going to need to know where my friends are. It sucks if that's the case, and we basically did a lot of R&D for almost nothing. But, you know, c'est la vie. But the base is owned by you, and you log out in the base whatever would be priority for that shard. Yes, that's not really the issue, because you should always be, your shard should be prioritized to whatever that base is. But it comes up with some complicated issues of then how do you sort out who can join what? Because if you join a friend's server shard, and then your base wouldn't be there because you're joining your friend's shard. So that's where shit gets fucking weird. Because, like, the bases are the sticker. If there was no, like, building of bases, none of this would really fucking matter. But there is, and I feel like this whole system was built before they had planetary landing. This was designed before they had planetary landing and base building. So they haven't even fucking thought about that, because it's not even on their fucking roadmap in their mind. They're worried about other shit right now. As an engineer, I really want to call in and talk about this. Paradox, here's the problem. Even if you told me everything that was correct, I don't speak engineer. So I wouldn't be able to tell you. And on top of that, you don't have, unless you are a CIG employee who works on this stuff, then you probably don't have the full understanding of what they're saying either. So that's, I think, but someone was asking what was this whole shard business. I think that is the stickler. That's the thing that people are confused about. Your ships get transferred to your new shard. Really your base would also get transferred to your new shard too. Yeah, that's the problem, is that merge conflicts. And because you can build on bases, on places that you don't own, in theory, then the issue would be, okay, so why am I in a piece of blank land that I can't build my base on? It might be, since bases are static objects versus dynamics, they may show up on all shards. Well, that's the problem then. If they're showing up on all shards, then what's to prevent me just wandering into this base, which is just popped up out of nowhere, and just stealing all the shit inside the base? It's a shard pool. Since everything is saved to the background, each time you enter a new shard, you get all the data that is saved from the back end. Yeah, I get that. But the question is that going to lock you to that shard? or is it dynamic? It's essentially, if I log in now, I get shard North American 1752. And then I log out for the night and I come back, but 1752 is full, so I get North American 1725. And it just drops me into that one because it's the next one. All my shit should be the same because it's dynamic, because it's everything's in the back end, not on the actual shards information. So the shard doesn't give a fuck. Or is it I have to go into queue and wait for that shard that I originally logged into, that I originally rolled into, gets free? I believe what you're saying was, which is the dynamic shard pool, means it's not locked. It's because everything's kind of on the in a different service. It can just pull that information later, so it doesn't give a fuck what shard you're in. It just logs into a shard because the shard's just the game service. So you're a pilot 5004 on Yella on one shard. Another player buys plot 5004 on a different shard, and then a few days later it collides. This is the gist, correct? Yeah, basically. The issue is, like, I get what they're saying, and from what I also gathered is shards can also prioritize. So in theory, based off of what I think they're planning on, and this may be completely wrong, the bases may not fucking matter. Because a base could be a priority shard. In the sense that it doesn't matter if you're in Australia, if you're in Antarctica, if you're in the jungles of Southeast Asia, if you're, hanging out in a cafe in Paris. If all three of you are walking into a base, that base is prioritized. So you go to that base, it's everyone gets pulled when you get close to that base to that base. So it essentially sets up its own shard that you are dragged into. That could be me speaking out my own asshole. I have no idea, but it depends on how shards are created and how those sorts of things work. Love you, Dad. No problem, son. Hey, Bogus. How you doing, buddy? Bogalicious. I don't know if that works or not. I don't know if that's how it's going to work. But from what I heard, that's my understanding. It could work like that. But yeah, I don't know. Have a good night, Commissar. Unless an outlaw homestead. Outlaw homesteads are dynamic. Where do we get that information, though? Did CIG release skins for the top 4 ships? Oh, for those, no, they'll do that at IAE, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, which is in November. Could it be that shards are dynamic, as in shards not by region of the Earth, but by region of the verse, as you travel by verse? That's another question, because I think the way they describe shards is that you could have a shard that's the entire verse or just a system. Well, servers and shards are not the same thing. Servers are instances. A shard is a series of meshed servers. The first iteration is going to be static, which means that there's going to be set boundaries for where those servers transition, and they'll have set limits of numbers in those servers. But shards are like a universe. The way they talked about it, it almost sounds like the shards are the alternate universes. So we may have the USA, EC, OS, or best like now. So you can pick up your shard like that. But if you just hit best, then you're EU. But most of your friends are all in NA, and you're Oregon NA. So your base is in NA if you hit best, and you will throw you an NA because you're prioritized for that. It could be like that. I don't know. I don't think it seems like CIG wants to not make it seem like you have to pick a region, that you just log in and go, because they seem to be very keen on the immersive factor where you don't know you're not in a separate shard. And based upon your reputation, you either can say or have to go. They said that all information from the shards are sent back to the replication layer and then filtered back as needed. That's true, yeah. They also have the replication layer, which is the kind of a priority shard, the thing that they want to replicate across all shards if they need to. As Dave Ag said, in outlier areas, you're seen as a squatter. Yeah, the question becomes like I said, bases are the problem. And I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds with this one. It's just the question becomes how do shards function with player-facing material? Are we locked out of shards or are we not? And then that answer gives us a bunch of other issues with things like org wars. Yeah, but Rough Galaxy, the question becomes, if I claim a plot of Yella in the North American shard, do the bastards in EU and Australia, those poor bastards don't get it? Because that's mine. So nobody can go there. And then, again, land claims aren't required for you to build a base. So what if I build a base in NA shard? Can that exact location have this exact same base built by EU? And then if I log out of NA and go to EU, will my base then suddenly, like, horribly transporter malfunction and create the Tuvix base, which then explodes? That's the problem when it comes to shards and dealing with land claims. And if they just say, nope, fuck it, you can only build on land that you've claimed, and it's locked to your shard, that would make sense, but they'd have to say that. Like, that's the bases is the problem. Everything else is fine. Basing is the problem. Tuvix base. That's, by the way, that's the name of my base when I build a base. It's going to be called Tuvix base. With all this talk of sharding, I hope CIG adds bidets at the same time. Yeah, with all this sharding going around, I really would need to invest more in toilet paper, apparently. In terms of basic computer science, still studying, you can look at 3 different dimensions of scaling for application. 1, cloning, running completely separate instance. 2, functional decomposition, different services like Quanta running separately from the instance. 3, data partitioning equals identical code, but deals with subsets of the whole. 3 is what CIG wants dynamically to redefine, and the subsets spin up another server for. Yeah, so like what you're saying essentially is, and I think that's probably their goal, is think of it like this. We have server meshing. We may also have something like shard meshing, if that makes sense, where you transition from NA1 shard in Stanton that you don't know about because no one tells you you're an NA1 shard to EU shard, EU1 shard in Pyro. And then you go down to Pyro 3 and build your base on Pyro 3. Now Pyro 3 has my base, which is its own shard that you transition to when you go into that base, which means it's its own shard that anybody who tries to go into that shard will then have a dynamically meshed surface area with that shard. Again, maybe I'm talking out my ass. I don't know. But it seems like it could be possible if they're already meshing 2 shards together between systems. The goal is 1 shard. Yeah, they I actually commented on it. I was one of the first people to comment on that post on Twitter, if you look at it. I know that's still the goal. The question becomes, where are the steps to get to that goal, though? If you can steal someone's base, at least in theory, yeah, you can take it over. But here's the problem with globally seeded, though, Benjamin. If that means that I build a base on Pyro 3, that base is going to be on Pyro 3 in all shards. Does that mean that my shit is on Pyro 3 in all shards? Because I'm not going to be on Pyro 3 in all shards. If I'm not on Pyro 3 in all shards, then someone, another shard, could walk up to my base and steal my shit, and now suddenly, because of the replication layer, all of my shit is gone. So base raiding just becomes ghosting, which is what we used to do well, I didn't do it. I was a good boy. But it's what people used to do in DayZ, which is they would go into a global instanced server. They would go into find a base. They would log out, log back into another server, go to where that base is on the other server, log back in, and then poof, they're inside the base. That's the problem with global seeding. Called server hopping in Arma DayZ. Yeah, no, we called it ghosting when I had a base in DayZ, when I used to run global servers in DayZ, and people would hop and be like, "Hey, someone's ghosting in," you know. If that's the case, then Paradox, if you can't modify someone unless the owner is present, then there's no point in base raiding, because all someone would have to do is just log out the second you get into the base, and now all of their shit is fine. It becomes impervious because that person's not there. But combat login to save your shit. The shard has permission to modify anything it has ownership. It has ownership. But if it only has ownership as long as you're there, you could easily log out of that shard and then log into another shard. Just log in and log out and hop into a new shard effectively, especially if there's a big raid going on. And now you're on a brand new shard where the other people aren't, and all your shit is with you on this new shard, so anything they couldn't pick up anything on that old shard. You see what I'm saying? I'm finding these edge cases pretty quickly with that problem, because we don't know exactly how that stuff's going to work, even in the current plans. I know that they're eventually looking for globals. That's fine. But I'm talking about in the interim. I don't think you should be able to choose your own shards either. But if you don't choose your own shards when you have friends, that's a recipe for a No Man's Sky disaster. Two people standing in the same place not knowing each other is there. They talked about the matching system, but how does the matching system work? Does it going to, like, what if Darj logs into EU shard 2 and I'm an NA shard 1, but we're not on each other's friends lists? Then I find Darj on, I'm going to use Darj a lot for this one because he's other side of the world for me. But I find Darj on Reddit, we talk, we hang out, and say, hey, let's go play the game. So Adam is my friend. The fuck happens then? Now suddenly he gets to merge into my shard. What if he has friends who are from Australia? Like the whole like prioritizing friends things, like who gets priority? Which friend gets priority? That sounds like an infinite amount of bullshit. Go climb up there. I guess what I mean is that when the shard is created, you have to be there for ownership, or you yourself as a shard that is merged into a larger instance. It's really hard to tell right now without the more info. Yeah, that's the key. And again, we're going back to the whole, like, the shard issue is more, we don't have enough information on the player-facing side of shards. We understand how the tech works. We don't know how it will be implemented for players. Star Citizen should partner with Starlink to make a global shard happen? Nah. I think they'll find a creative way. Again, big brain, dumb dumb brain, dumb brain here. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up doing meshed shards rather than meshed servers, because servers are meshed inside a shard, but then, Galaxy Brain meshing the shards together, meaning you would always have priority for certain locations to become sharded themselves. For base building, it might require a timeout. Yeah, when you get into base building, that's going to cause some weird issues, because base building wasn't part of the original pitch, and because it was they sold it with land claims. They could easily fall back and say, you cannot build a base without using a land claim marker. And if you use the land claim marker, wherever you built that land claim is going to be on that instance, on that shard. And no one else can go onto that shard, onto that land claim, and go to your stuff. You can't build on there because it's already been claimed. So it's like a global claiming. So nobody could do that. Sharded. Tony sees hub and spoke style cargo system applied to the servers. The shards don't need to communicate with each other at 30 FPS. No. I think we are looking for too far ahead to what server meshing T1 will be. The question is becoming, well, that's not really too far ahead, though. That's like 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Because CIG's already done, so server meshing is just, we already knew what server meshing was, and is still the same thing, which is things are meshed together. They dynamically spin up and down depending on where you are. If for dynamic and static, there's just going to be specific areas. And as a result, they should be able to hike up the player cap because of those meshes. The question becomes shards, because shards are the things that are essentially the overarching server architecture that protects all of the instances inside the server. And that shard will only be able to handle a certain capacity of players, just for information purposes. And that the shards are the key. There's the devil. That's the devil in the details right there. Truly global extremely limits Access 1. You do give up a lot from Access 1 and rely much more heavily on 2. CIG's server meshing that is supposed to scale along number 3. Perhaps they are trying to temper out expectations and suggesting that they may only rely on 1 for a very limited degree. I don't know what you mean by that, Merrick, but okay. The main issue is if you're in a base and 1 shard, and that's the same base attacked on another shard, will those players move to your shard? And when that does happen, that's essentially the question. Without bases, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're in the same place as somebody else if you don't know who they are. Like, the idea of layered servers has been suggested for a while. Like, that was the original pitch for CIG, which is like the server will reach its maximum capacity, and then another person comes in. They're on the same server in a different, essentially in a different universe, in its own shard, because it's just max capped out. So it just dumped you into a new place because it can't support you. So the idea of having 2 people in the exact same location not seeing each other, unless they're friends or unless they're specifically in the same shard, makes sense. So the key is like the scale of how many people can fit in a shard. Exactly, Rough Galaxy. I think the problem is that a lot of people who are freaking out about it is that they're like, oh, Stanton, we have maybe, what is it, maximum of 60,000 players. Let's triple that. Well, let's hit New World's highest peak number, almost 1 million players online at once. Okay? Could you imagine 1 million players in Stanton? Fucking chaos. Absolute dumb shit. But 1 million players stretch out over 100 different systems. Yeah, some systems will have more players in them, but not everyone's going to be in the same system. unless there's this big event. You don't really, like, when you spread out the player base like that, it's not, that's going to be very tiny. It's going to feel almost empty. You know? So that's the key, I think, is that what most people are worried about is not necessarily the idea that you might be playing in the same region as somebody else. Yeah, you know, you're not going to interact with them anyway, so who gives a shit? But if you're interacting with them, then you're on the same layer you are. You can develop rivalries and you can fight one another, that sort of thing, and have these big global events maybe. That's kind of the ideal. I really enjoyed the Inforunners episode where you all discussed the size of some systems. Yeah, they're huge. They're fucking massive. Stanton is teeny weeny compared to even Pyro. Stanton's small. Yeah, very small. Yeah. So I think that may also be the reason why they haven't kind of tackled this, because the shard thing is like what I expected them to do in static meshing. I expected them to get up to a point where you had NA mesh, EU mesh, AUS mesh. And those are the static meshes you can log on to. So you aren't playing with everybody, but you're playing with everyone in the US servers, everyone on the EU server, or everyone in the AUS server. You know, that's what I expected at static meshing. And then eventually with dynamic, they would build everything together, pull everything together. So if they get to that point where they have just these like regional meshes that you pick the location, or they just drop you into those meshes, I'm fine with that for 4.0. You know, for the first launch, or I'd be ecstatic if that was for the first launch. But it's probably more like, you know, 100 different North American, 100 different AU, Australian, and 100 different EU kind of stuff. Gonna break Pyro wide open. Agent Starwind. Stanton, Pirate, Terra, Soul are going to be major hotspots for the rest of them. Yeah. But they could also prioritize sizes for those, server sizes for those systems, and they could dynamically or statically mesh those systems appropriately to handle large scales of players. Question. The original promise of dynamic server meshing was that was what differentiated Star Citizen from most. God damn it. We just went over this, Merrick. Have they deviated from that promise? If so, can you describe how? Hey, Morph. We're having the shard conversation. I'm sharding all over the chat. Chat is sharding all over itself. Yeah, Merrick, that's what we've been talking about. How it will change? I don't think it's going to change that much. Like, the major change, like, Star Citizen dynamic server meshing as one global instance was always the goal, but the main point was to bring incredibly high fidelity gameplay with skill-based combat to large numbers. That's still not changed. You know, in deep space, in the middle of nowhere, in the black. Oops, hit the wrong button twice. It's okay. Been lurking. Definitely has some strange implications. Okay, good. Thank you for streaming on YouTube. I'm done with Twitch. That's fine, Pickleskin. Thank you for coming on to YouTube. I do this every Thursday. I'll also be doing it. I'm probably doing it on Friday as well, though I probably won't have the chat up. So is Board. He's saying that it's in our contracts that we're not supposed to do multiple streaming. We're supposed to wait up to 24 hours. But I've been doing it for years. Board's been doing it for years too. I'm just like, cool. It's also not my livelihood, so I'm not too afraid if Twitch decides to come in and go, because I could easily come back at Twitch and being like, I'm part of the LGBTQ community. I've already had multiple attempted freaking hate raids. Go fuck yourself. Absolutely get fucked. You can't even like protect me. I'm sure if I look through my contract, there'd be some reasonable expectation of privacy and stuff like that, which you fucking failed at. Get fucked. I just want to clarify if they would deviate from the promise. Well, it depends. Like, I don't think anywhere that would be the thing. I don't think anywhere in CIG's documentation that they promised a single shard universe, like the way that we've thought about that. They may have. I don't know. But I think the main pitch was always the concept of high fidelity, skill based, thousands of people per server, which I don't think the sharding changes. But what part of the pitch and when, Sheaf? It's anyone who gets paid by Twitch, Merrick. Yeah, I will, KB. Don't worry about it. Thanks for hanging out. Paul, OnlyFans when? How do you know I don't already have one? My point being, I don't think it actually changes anything. Oh yeah, Tavaran Kung Fu. I forgot about that. Remember Tavaran Kung Fu? Chris mentioned it once. It's on the promise board. I don't think it was ever like a hard and fast reality of the game. There were always going to be limitations that would happen at some point. The fact that we're hitting them now just kind of shows, yeah, there's going to be some limitations. It shows that they're working on the technology. But I also don't think they're going to stop. I think it's still going to grow. Thoughts on the BMM reconcept? I like Daddy Like a lot. Considering it was this is going to sound weird. It was the first real purchase I made on a credit card. Granted, that was 8 years ago. I was in my early 20s and I didn't really use credit cards. But it was after I got my first real teaching job. And I asked the wife about it. She said it was cool. And it was $250. That's a great investment. Hey, Phoenix. Concept same. It just got thick. What was the name of the alien teapot from their brand new trade ceremony? I don't know. Do I miss marketing? No. Yes and no. I miss marketing in the sense that I miss the creativity with marketing, the problem solving, gathering information, putting it together, delivering it. It did marketing research mostly. Do I miss the bullshit? No. Pretty much, let me put it this way. Most of my time was telling companies that their ideas were bad and they wouldn't sell. Then, because I was working for my parents would then not get paid by the company until they got all snippy with them, and finally they pay them, and then they release the product anyways, not listening to any of the information we gathered, and it would fucking fail. The fuck did you expect? Yeah, like I feel like mostly most marketing is telling rich people who've never actually done business in their life that they don't know how to do business, and then them just ignoring you. Yeah, we were marketing consultants. I was a marketing research consultant was my job. I was an assistant marketing research consultant. I did come up with a product name, though, that stuck with it. It was made by Kellogg's. It was called Be Fast. It was a breakfast shake. I think it's gone now. I don't think it exists. I'm like, what were you expecting? Where do you see the whole series ships going, such as the whole D and E? Do you like space potat? Because you'll be hauling lots of space potats. The D and E are massive cargo haulers. We're talking ginormous. You're not ever going to be hauling a whole D worth of diamonds or quantanium. That's just not going to happen because the cost of buying it alone would be ridiculous. And even if you could find a seller for all that quantanium, it would be rare. You'd probably end up just crashing the market for that. So you'd end up losing money in the long run. The whole D and E are designed for dropping lots of cheap stuff. So like ore or metals or food or medical supplies, things that you can have a ton of and easily offload. Or just, hey, these are 400 pallets or 400 cargo containers full of various stuff for various companies. They're all going to Terra. Take that shit to Terra. You will rarely use a whole series to haul your own shit. You will be hauling other people's shit, mostly NPCs. Ship tractor beams when? Probably soon. Oh, hey, go Mitch yourself. By the way, congratulations on the I watched your episode with Tomato, with a space tomato. That was a good interesting watch. I was a little when you when you were all like, oh yeah, I started watching lots of streamers and YouTube creators, and I'm like, oh, is he gonna mention me? I know Mitch. He didn't. I was like, I see Mitch yourself. I see. I see how it is. I'm giving you a hard time. Do I think we can expect 30k recovery to be in 315? Yes, I think it's since CIG talked about it and said it's going to be in a PTU for 315. I would highly suggest it would. I would highly expect it to be in there. I don't think it'll be fully functional or work every time, but we'll see. Paul, is it even feasible to hijack a whole sea or larger? How are you going to pirate anything that size? That's the thing. I think a lot of people misunderstand how piracy is going to work in Star Citizen. I think a lot of people think you're just going to go on board a ship, shoot everybody on board, take it, and run away. The answer to that is you might be able to do that with some small ships once. But if you try to do that again with a bunch of in the same area, you're just going to get essentially Concord, if those of you play EVE, Concord on your ass. Just invincible shit that will just wreck you. And if it's not the UEE, it's going to be other pirates, because your reputation just murdering motherfuckers is going to be pretty bad, especially since if you take that freelancer and go anywhere near any registered space, even pirate registered space, they're going to know that you have a stolen ship. And with the fact that that ship is stolen and missing its crew, and you show up with that ship, what the fuck did you do with the crew? So, in the game, systems are good enough now to kind of tell that sort of thing. So you'll lose reputation even with pirate crews, because pirate crews will dislike the fact that you were loud, because it'll draw more attention from the UEE or security services. So I think the reality is most Piracy is going to be a negotiation between NPCs and players, and you'll likely take a fraction of their full cargo and leave before either getting absolutely blammed or losing all your reputation. Hey, Paul, in June 2020... Oh, God. Hey, Paul, in this specific... Like, oh, God. Oh, no, I don't like when people start referencing stuff because I may not know it. Go read The Invisible Hook for information how piracy should work. Yeah. What's that book? 21 Balloons, where they talk about showing up with a ship full of diamonds and the same as showing up with a ship full of broken glass. Yeah. Hey, Paul, June 21 Mother Report said that they were working on a new variant of a popular ship, which they actually mentioned it in the last monthly report as well. What do you think it'll be? And we'll see it next month. I think we'll definitely see it next month. I don't know. I'm wondering now, based off of the... By the way, let me show y'all. Right here. The interior bay accommodates 2 ground vehicles of any size, including exploratory rovers, Ursa, the battle tanks, Nova, and Anvil's own Atlas platform chassis. The fuck's an Atlas platform chassis? Well, let's think about this. Anvil has 1 ground vehicle, and this is all mentioned specifically for ground vehicles. What is that 1 ground vehicle? The ballista. Now, let me do some quick... this is right there, yeah. Let's go to Robert Space Industries. Go down here to view all. Well, look at this. That looks really fucking familiar. Why does that look very fucking familiar? Because it's the fucking ballista chassis. I give you the Anvil Atlas chassis. If it's not coming out in IAE, it's coming out in Invictus. They said it in the weird kind of like weasel words. They said it in that weasel word way. It's 12 ships they're make. It's 4 ships they're gonna make, not 12 ships, but yeah. Like, I don't know if they'll make this. And they probably won't make that because that's just the Cyclone. This looks pretty fucking familiar, so I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up doing that one. This one. Star Bomber. That's what this is. This is the Crusader Star Bomber. Explorer ship, Misk Explorer ship, probably this. Yeah, probably that. That's the most realistic. So yeah. To answer that question, if it's not that ground vehicle, it's not the Atlas chassis ground vehicle, then it's something else like that. Is it an Anvil bomber? Because it says just bomber ship. Weasel words, a consultant's best friend. You know what I mean, Isogen. Things you can say that aren't necessarily pin you down because you don't have a full answer for it, but you do want to give them a general idea of what you're looking at. So that when people go, but specifically you said this, and you go, I didn't specifically say shit. I just said this because that's what we had at the moment. And shit changes. And so, yeah. They said it would be Anvil during the stream. I wouldn't necessarily hold them to Anvil. That may just be an idea. But we do know there were links of the Achilles Star Bomber way back in, like, I was hearing, let me put it this way. I'm a lore guy, right? So a lot of people on leaks know that I'm a lore guy. So I've had more than one people from the leaks group go like, hey, does Crusader make the Achilles? What's the Achilles? What is like going through all of the lore stuff to talk with me about it. I'm like, could be the A2. That could be what the A stands for is Achilles. But we definitely know there's a Star Bomber in somewhere in there. So. Cover your ass speak when some of your fan base are more rabid than teeny bopper music fans. Yeah. Misk getting their 4th Explorer. Misk has 4 Explorers? They have the Dur. That's about it. I guess they have the Endeavor too. So the Dur and the Endeavor, that's 2. The Starfarer isn't an Explorer. I guess it does have the Sen, the Reliant Sens. Yeah, it's the 4th Explorer. CIG not talking about made its own Explorer rover from Anvil from the character in the ship shape. Possibly. That might be the rover we end up with, but we don't know. The front of that top exploration ship looks like the front of the Endeavor. Yeah. Really vague to dodge expectations. As a former consultant, I can tell you I'm never vague unless I absolutely have to be. And that's usually because of either legal issues or to set expectations properly. The problem with Star Citizen fans is that Star Citizen fans will take everything as meaning everything. So any ambiguity becomes instant promise board material. Question, what do you think about CIG giving out those kinds of duplicate roles? It's fine. As long as they're not exactly the same, it's fine. Like, for instance, I've said before, I think if they do a Carrack-sized Misk Explorer, it's going to have nothing to do with the Carrack. Everyone kind of... What does Misk do? Industry, hauling, and mining. So what would a Misk Explorer be good for? Wildcat mining. It would be a ship designed to find resources and extract them, or set up locations to extract them. I wouldn't be surprised if we get essentially a Misk Pioneer. A ship that's designed to go into deep space, find locations for proper mining or extractions, go to ground and build a extraction site, like mining material or habs for people to live in. Carrack doesn't do that. Carrack is a frontline military explorer. It's a surveyor ship. It's a pathfinder ship. A Misk is going to be more of a resource extractor. That's a great way of putting it. Star Citizen fans, the sentient embodiment of confirmation bias. Overhype masters, yeah. You did incredibly well over that 24-hour stream. Cool to watch it here and there. Still cannot believe Jared was in it. I can't either. I hope he's doing okay. Jared, if you're watching, stop watching. Go watch Star Wars or Star Trek or play something. Stop watching this. This is work. Stop doing work. Enjoy yourself. Treat yourself. Get yourself a nice robe. Put it on you. Sit down with a nice cup of tea. put on some Deep Space Nine and just relax. Nice Chianti, yeah. What do you think one Mr. John Crew was referring to with his recent tweet about seeing something really cool? It either has nothing to do with Star Citizen or everything to do with Star Citizen. Everyone who made guesses, he said they were wrong. So now I can tell you that the British office, the Manchester office, is building a brand new office. So if they're building a brand new office, it could be about that. I have heard some cool shit that's in the new office, by the way. I just hear blah, 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 blah. So talk about that confirmation prize. It was something cool at work, though. Yeah, like I said, it could be he got to see the plans for the new office. How's my Warhammer going? It's going pretty cool. It's Orktober, obviously. I still have a bunch of orcs I haven't finished. I finished almost all of my infantry, but I've got 10 bikers to do. Got 5 buggies to do. I'm only going to do 2 of those buggies because I only really use 2, maybe 3. 3 trucks and a battle wagon. Luckily, big stuff is easier to do than the tiny stuff. But the bikers are taking a while. I've started on the first 5 bikers. I started them last night. I got them almost all base coated. I've got to go through and pull out some details for the base coat before I go through with the wash, and then I'll be done. But I got all the big colors, the main colors done. I just have some of the detail colors to do. That will be done by the end of this week, and then next week I'll probably work on the other bikers. And when those are done, I'll probably knock out one of the buggies or something like that for the end. So, what scheme? It's green, so it's messing with the green screen. But the red ones go faster. When we play, please bring your guard, not your greenskins. What, you're afraid, Jin? You're afraid of the orc menace? You just want to absolutely trounce me in the guard. Straight up orky boys then, yeah. Oh, and great. But this is what I did recently. I kind of already talked about this, but I've been going through a lot of my the terrain I've gotten. I got 2 packs of terrain with like terrain boxes. Actually, ironically, 2 kill teams. I got the kill team starter set like when I first started painting. I never actually got to painting the terrain with it. So, good solid terrain. So this one's done. I've still got another one, a big one of these, and then I've got a bunch of smaller like scatter terrain pieces of like pipes and stuff for this. So I did this before I did the bikers, so. And as for how my ship painting went, meet the Cutlass Purple. I have to be very careful because, oh, it's actually finally on there. There we go. See a little bit of blue accents there. It looks a lot better up close, but yeah, it's the party ship. I also got one of my arrows done. In a similar paint scheme. Need to be stealthy? Yeah. Thank you, Trouble Magnet, for that 58 months. Whew. That's not a 3D print. Those are those are ships from JRDF. Mystic Explorer, find me that money. Exactly. Off topic, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Babylon 5 reboot? I am super fucking excited. I am ecstatic that they're doing a Babylon 5 reboot with the original creator. From the ground up, I love the idea. The creator, the original creator, JMC, is a fucking legend in science fiction writing. And he has matured so much as a writer since his first ever, show running role in Babylon 5. So him going back to his original series and thinking it from the ground up with what he's learned and how he can do better, I am excited. Especially in the sci-fi renaissance, this renaissance of sci-fi TV shows. It's coming at the perfect time. Towards the end of the Expanse era, we've got the Foundation series, which is out. Dune, the movie, is coming out. Season 4 of Discovery, season 2 of Picard, season 3 of Lower Decks, and the new kids show for Star Trek. The I can't remember what the name is, but Legacy, I think. There's a ton of content for that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, Bad Batch, The Mandalorian. I mean, Prodigy. Thank you. Hope they give him 5 years and one pass this time, so we don't get get fast forward stuff again. I hope so too. Oh, it's a season finale. I thought it was already done. I guess it's still doing one. The thing about Babylon 5 is the thing that holds back Babylon 5 is its graphics. Its writing is very 90s, but I like DS9. I like DNG. Its writing is especially early on, but it got better. And the same thing happened with Babylon 5. As it went on, the writing got better. But the graphics got better too, but they didn't get that much better. Why do I get Amaranth in my recommends? Well, what have you been watching, Chief? Who are you? Not just who are you, but what do you want? The answer is, Chief, is either somebody else, other people in my channel watch people like Amaranth, or watch the same content as Amaranth, or Twitch is probably shunting the recommends for people they want to succeed. Listen, I have no joke, suggested to Cam that we buy a hot tub. And Chief, as Chief Gully knows, as another Texan, understands, I could probably have a hot tub. Well, probably a hot tub would be bad. It can only be used for 1 month out of the year. But yeah. Warlon costume would be nuts. You can probably do it with 3D printing nowadays. Hot tub season, aka January, aka the first 2 weeks of January. Yeah, Babylon 5 graphics are very 80-ish, not even 90s. I would say it's 90s, but it's early CGI. Very early CGI. Some of the earliest CGI that you could see. It was very cutting edge for its time. But it used Blender. Like that's the CGI they use. They use Blender. Constellation hot tub set. Yeah, there we go. All right, I've been. Wait, what? Babylon 5? You don't know what Babylon 5 is, Arbiter? I don't blame you. It's a very old show and had a very niche audience in the 90s. Let me look that up. Let me look up what they used. So they created the graphics on Commodore Amiga 2000s. They used Lightwave 3D based in video toaster workstations. 24 Amiga 2000s, 16 of which serve as dedicated rendering engines. Each of the 16 packs 32 megabytes of RAM, a Fusion 40 accelerator, and a toaster. All the Amigas share data through a novel network and offload data to a 12 gigabyte 486 PC file server. Foundation Imaging Homebrew Task Manager parcels out rendering out each of the Amigas in the rack, ensures that no machine sits idle. Thanks to this clever resource management, the rendering time for a frame of Babylon 5 animation averages 45 minutes. Not too much more than is required for less complex models using in the pilot episode. Later, Shingo. We're going to probably end it up here anyways. Like I said, Babylon 5 had a storyline, not just random and linked stories. Yeah, it was very interesting. The whole, essentially, Babylon 5 did long-form storytelling before it was cool. The whole show was long-form storytelling. Well, they did episodes, but they had an underlying plot throughout the season. I would say it's the prototype for things like Game of Thrones. But way before Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica, the 80s and 70s versions, sort of had that because it was always on the same journey, but they didn't really, and they had what Star Trek had, which was they had cap episodes where at the end of a season that kind of tied off, or specific plotline episodes. Whereas Babylon 5 pretty much had the entire season with a B plot or a C plot almost undercurrent to all of the episodes. So there's always a part of the episode that was dedicated to the entire run of the story. Right. Thank you, Aimless. I keep forgetting about that. People got to bring that up. Let's do that before we log out. Let's draw for last month's because of so many things that went wrong. I haven't done that yet. Finished. September giveaway. This is for an Anvil Hawk. And the winner is G Sharp. If you're in chat, let me know, but I'll send you a message on Discord. I've got your email. I can just, if you're here, tell me if the Gmail account that you used was the good one for me to send it to. Yeah. Is that Gmail account you used good? Because I'll just send it right now. before we log out. Okay, I'll send it to the Gmail you used. You used to sign in for it. Send this right now. We're still giving away for all this month. We're giving away a vulture, Drake Vulture! Exclamation point October to get in on that one. And gifted. Check your email. G-Sharp. Congratulations. I tried sending an email to claim my prize. I have that. I have it. I got it. You're good. My brain hasn't been working this last week. So I'll send it to you either tonight or tomorrow. All right, y'all. It is almost 11 o'clock my time. I've been streaming for 3 hours. I should have ended a long time ago. Thank you for coming in. We didn't get the chance to really cover CitCon, but we did a little bit here and there. That discussion about the newest information about 30Ks being no longer a thing is going to be up on... I'll clip that and put that up on YouTube tonight/tomorrow. So, compared to the 24-hour stream, this is a warm-up. Yeah, it's true. But my brain still hasn't recovered from the 24 hours. Whew. Server mashing and potatoes and cargo bacon. Thank you all for hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow with the first pub crawl of 315. It's going to be PTU. So if you want to join us at Loreville. We're going to do the first drink, and we're going to move our way. We're going to be a pub crawl. We're going to buy drinks along the way, and we'll be kind of drinking and driving from place to place, refilling up what we need to, and going and continuing on, taking a journey from the Stanton 1 all the way to Stanton 4, stopping off at every major bar. So we'll be stopping off at the bar in Loreville, the bar in Grimhex, the bar at Orison, G-Lock in Area 18, and Wally's in Microtech. So those are the 5 places we're going for the pub crawl. Bring a backpack full of detox bites. Don't you dare. Cover from a 24-hour shift, yeah. Bonna bags for everyone, exactly. Thank you all for coming out and hanging out with us. We do this every Thursday. If you missed this, we do this Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Come by, hang out, talk, chat, do the things. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. There you all.